I was literally just watching this. Hold on. Volume. Hello, hello, hello. All right. I'm groggy. I think I'm sick. I apologize for the voice. I've been feeling a little weird. But I was watching this and I could not fathom a situation in which, one, the miscommunication between officials and government. Okay, this is gonna be politics. This is gonna be, hold on, my calibration. Why is my head going down? Uh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. All right. All right. I'll just comment as we watch because it's the biggest garbage I've ever heard in my life. Especially, it's dealing with the terrorist attacks happening. So let's just kind of go through
He has continued with this idea that somehow
This is not a terrorist event.
this terror attack
that right there. Okay, hold on. Let me just say this first. It's not a terrorist event. A bomb in a Tesla or a guy driving over 15 people and then leaving the car shooting more. Those are not, and just wait till the links pop up. But let's just imagine, fine, those aren't terrorist events. I thought terrorist events were a danger to the masses. I know there's a political sense to it to convince people to do something, whatever the case may be. But Luigi Mangione, guys, Luigi Mangione is being charged for terrorism for one CEO. Sink that in real quick before we continue. But a guy making his Tesla into a bomb, basically, is not in public. That's just the first garbage I'm like trying to process. Um, I guess the idea is that it's a terrorist attack if it's against the rich people. But if it's in public where regular folk are, why even consider that a terrorist attack? Why? It must be a level of importance that are associated with class. All right. I think that's kind of like the biggest thing, but we'll talk.
is linked to open border policy under Biden.
The city of New Orleans was impacted by a terrorist attack.
That they find it very
And there's a miscommunication. FBI, no, it's not terrorist attack, or it's not a terrorist event. The mayor, obviously a little bit more down to earth, says yes, it is a terrorist attack. But why is the discrepancy? Why are two people saying different things? Anyway,
hard to believe that these two are not connected.
There is no definitive link between the attack here in New Orleans and the one in Las Vegas.
this guy was a recent find of mine. I really like his analysis, his perspective, and he's very grounded when it comes to talking about issues. He's not gonna try and throw a particular side, even though you can potentially tell which side he would be on. It's that thing where you want to be unbiased in the way you communicate and argue, even if you have a bias, because we're human. And this is one of the people that they can hold their bias, try to observe everything logically.
Welcome back to the Devori Darkin Show. It seems that we have more questions than answers to kick off this year of 2025, given the terrorist attack in New Orleans and in Las Vegas as well. We're going to react to both of these stories and much more in this video. But let's start this video off with the latest update from Trump himself about everything. Let's read it. Now, he posted this first thing in the morning. He put, with the Biden open borders policy, I said many times during rallies and elsewhere that radical Islamic terrorism and other forms of violent crime will become so bad in America that it will become hard to even imagine or believe. That time has come, only worse than ever imagined. Joe Biden is the worst president in the history of America, a complete and total disaster. What he and his group of election interfering thugs have done to our country will not soon be forgotten. Make America great again. Now, of course, there's a couple of things that we have to address. When the New Orleans terrorist attack took place, Trump did go on Truth Social and he posted something of the nature that this was due to people coming across the border. And of course, CNN.
Let's say you're a country or you are the president of a country, and off in the distance, there's another country that's constantly giving you problems for their benefit, for the general benefit of it. But let's say you're a Chinese country. There's a case scenario where there's dominance fight. Let's say you're a Russian country, where we have literally cold wars with these countries. Wouldn't there be an incentive to expose weakened entry points, like a border that was basically just, you know, passed by, like, yeah, 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 yeah. Just come on through. It's all good. Come on through. Yeah, you too. You too. Yeah, it's fine. I don't know who you are. That's fine. Just come in. It's fine. It's fine. That's cool. Hey, bye, bye, bye. Have fun in America. Like, seriously, how is that not even a discussion? How can you consider that there's an open border where we can calculate at least 2 million people entering? At least, and this is a generous underestimation. And okay, out of 2 million people, how many other foreigners can you sneak in, right? Bring your Chinese spy through and have them come to America. There's literally been videos of also Chinese and uh, uh, Pakistani and just a mixture. It's not just South American anymore. They're taking that path of least resistance, going to South America from whatever country they wanted to spy from, and then they walk straight through. Anyway, like, think about that. Like, if you don't think so, like, I'm gonna say 99% of people are fine. That's fine. But 1% out of 10 million, do the math. Oh, this argument's not even an argument. Oh, hold on.
Didn't like that, and they tried to call him out on it. But as I stated on my X account, I actually felt that he was indirectly correct with what he was stating. Now, to give you guys an example of what I'm talking about here, let me show you exactly what CNN said.
Since then, since even though the report has been corrected, even though we have learned that the perpetrator here was American, and if anything, he was radicalized here in America, he has continued with this idea that somehow this terror attack is linked to open border policy under Biden, to immigration, to a migrant, even though, again, we have reported, as have others, that this is an American citizen. So, for example,
Okay, well, let's not consider that these two particular cases, but crime has gone up. We've heard of hotels being literally hijacked by gangs. New York City's literally not even, I don't even know what the word is, like catching people that are like, I think the minimum that you can steal before you get caught, put into jail is like $1,000. They're giving people leniency. They're not being restricted. They're not disciplining people for being here. They're just saying, "Oh yeah, do whatever you want to do. Oh, we caught you stealing 1,000, but you can go. You can go. Oh, second time? Yeah, you can go second time. Third time? I guess third time. Fool me once, fool me twice. I guess we gotta put you in jail now. Like it shouldn't take 3 times for someone to go to jail for literally at gunpoint, if necessary. Or at this point, just go walk in, steal stuff, and come out. I've seen videos of people literally stealing ice cream worth $300 from the freezer of a grocery store. And it's ruining the commercial aspects of it. Small businesses are literally getting their products stolen. And your neighborhood neighbor over there, all of a sudden he's selling your products from the person that stole them and sold it to him. Seriously? Like, okay, this particular case, they were homegrown. Sure, maybe. I don't know for sure. But they, it's just this fresh meat. How long have they actually been? Did they grow from a kid? Did they grow as a child here? I mean, they were in the military, which is interesting. And man, I don't know, but if you got a long-term mission, even if you're a citizen to a place, you can still be on a mission, if you know what I mean, over a long period of time. 2008 happened. No, sorry, 9/11 happened 20 something years ago. How old's this guy? You know, what's he been conditioned at this point? So I'm not going to excuse the fact that sure he's an American citizen. He was brainwashed because that's an excuse for social media um, censorship. That's what it's for. They're using this as a form of, oh, look what's happening with social media. People are becoming terrorists. We should start being more restrictive, right? But the narrative isn't this. The narrative is very big, including the fact that immigration has actually caused a lot of safety issues in the United States. This is just the icing on the cake. Anyway.
Example, 5 hours ago on Truth Social, he said, with the Biden open borders policy, I said many times during rallies and elsewhere that radical Islamic terrorism and other forms of violent crime will become so bad in America that it'll become hard to even imagine or believe, and that time has come. Again, this is not related to any crimes that are happening from people crossing the border, whether it be radical Islamic terrorism or not, related to what happened in New Orleans. As far as we can tell, we again have the.
I'm gonna say yet because I remember watching a video um, of an interview with a CIA agent, and she said that there's potentially 1,000 people, minimum, 1,000 people preparing for something, terrorists in a sense, but they're preparing for something. And this is just like, think of the inauguration time, January 20th. Uh, I just really hope this is just something we can just brush off and continue forward. But honestly, the chaos we've seen lately is almost like distraction. Something's weird. Something's very.
The fact that he is an American citizen, but was not, it was.
Also, let's stop calling CNN news and calling it CNN Narrative Network, Central Narrative Network, because it's not news when you're trying to push an agenda. Like, I don't watch CNN very often. I watch clips here and there, but so many, like, just Joe Rogan, man. They made him look sick. They put a green filter on him or some sort of weird filter on a video he posted to make him look sick because he was taking a specific type of alternative to fit. You know what I mean? And we get censored for all this kind of stuff, so it's difficult to consider speaking on all of it directly. So keywords will be used. Of course, if you watched other YouTubers, you probably get the feel for those keywords. But how are you a news network when you modify raw content implicitly trying to adjust the way people think about something? It's the Central Narrative Network. It's not a news network, guys. Ay,
This wasn't an instance of someone coming over as a radical Islamic terrorist.
Yeah, so before I even respond to that craziness, here's what I said on X. Trump is indirectly right because the FBI has stated publicly that there are radical Islamic terrorists who have crossed the border over the past 4 years, that is. As a result, the criminal may have, could have, maybe not, have had communications with these terrorists inside America. So what difference does it really make in the end, okay, whether the terrorist crossed the border and committed the crime, or a terrorist crossed the border and started helping other people become radicalized?
there you go.
Or how about the fact that the
That's
FBI
fair.
has been more concerned about other things in our society and not on.
One of the ways you win civilization, if you've ever played Civilization, is culture. And how do you take over land? Culture. You spread your culture. You find whatever way necessary to take your culture, religion, whatever it is, and radicalize the people. And then they will revolt against their establishment because of cultural differences. So if you've ever played Civilization, you know what I'm talking about. That's the ninja style of winning. Yeah, build your wonder. Yeah, try and dominate the world with weapons. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But while you're building your weapons, I'm sending over my priests to your country. That's literally human existence, guys. This is centuries of human warfare. It's not just weapons, it's in explicit ways of changing people's viewpoints. That's it. And civilization does a great job at showing that you can literally take over people's land by radicalizing their citizens. So what's the difference between this guy not being a immigrant from the recent leaks, we'll call it, the Biden leaks from border? I'm gonna call it five, let's call it 5 million to be generous. 5 million immigrants, some of those are just coming through trying to radicalize people. And look at all the problems. How easy would it be to do this? You can talk about politics, you can talk about corporations paying off lobbyists, or lobbyists paying off congressmen. You can talk about so many themes to radicalize a person against their country. Because, I mean, Luigi Mangione, the guy has, although his action is wrong, he's not wrong for thinking the way he is. And you can read and talk and see a lot of people. Even my own mother was with cancer and with multiple sclerosis. And they tried whatever it took to disqualify her for the best care because she had pancreatic cancer. And that's a 95% death rate. I'm sorry, just because it's a statistic doesn't mean it gives you the excuse to not spend money to try and help her. You're a health insurance. They've been paying for it. What the hell is that? So, yeah, if you're at the edge of your string, it's really easy to radicalize, especially if you're not kind of, if you're not critical thinker, if you just kind of go with the flow and what we call sheeple. Sheeple can be radicalized in any direction. That's what the government technically wants from its citizens, to be sheeple, to listen to every little detail, but those same sheeple can be adjusted easily, more easy than the critical thinking individual. So, yeah, what's stopping from immigration radicalizing people and having them be the terrorists? That's literally how you play civilization.
On actual safety of everyday Americans. And then here's what Trump had to say in response. When I said that the criminals coming in are far worse than the criminals we have in our country, that statement was constantly refuted by Democrats and the fake news media, but it turned out to be true. The crime rate in our country is at a level that nobody's ever seen before. Our hearts are with all of the innocent victims and their loved ones, including the brave officers of the New Orleans Police Department. The Trump administration will fully support the city of New Orleans as they investigate and recover from this act of pure evil. And so what I find to be very rich is CNN is more focused on trying to fact check President-elect Trump instead of focusing on what actually happened and why it happened. You know, their priorities are misplaced. That's just my personal opinion, of course.
It's because it's not a news network, it's a narrative network. Trump made a narrative about what may be happening, and now they're scrambling their fact checkers, whatever that means, or really in 1984, truth ministry, to try and figure out how to disqualify the things he says to make it a little bit more, oh yeah, but Biden didn't bring them in. They weren't all from the leak of immigration. Like, it wasn't completely his fault. Sleepy Joe's sleeping, man. He's literally been sleeping the last few months. He's done. He's obviously done. You watch the way he talks nowadays, he knows it's over soon. He's like, I'm so out of it. It's like when you have that last month at work and you know you're about to, like, maybe, I don't know, I've never felt a pension in my life. I don't even think I'll ever get a pension in my life. But imagine having a moment in time where you're like, all right, I'm done working for life. Hey, yeah, let's go vacation. Let's spend some money. Let's go enjoy life a little bit because the last years were fucking hell. So much hell that they probably gave me dementia. Like, the guy's basically turned off, turned out. He dropped out a long time ago, honestly. Oh my God.
Course. And then Trump also followed up and said this: our country is a disaster, a laughing stock all over the world. This is what happens when you have open borders with weak, ineffective, and virtually non existent leadership. The DOJ, FBI, and the Democratic state and local prosecutors have not done their job.
Now, I don't know if it's a laughing stock. Europe is experiencing similar things with immigration, but there are countries like Poland that are taking this very seriously. They are literally picking up arms, putting up walls, fences, and not letting immigrants in because they recognize, in a sense, that there is something off with this. Yes, women and children, sure, but there are men out there trying to throw spears at them. Like, the women and children are basically a Trojan horse, trying to get the rest of them in. And it turns out Poland has the least amount of crime from most, if not all, of the European countries. I wonder why. They didn't let anyone in. Must be coincidence, right? Oh, no, no. Causation doesn't have correlation. No, 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 no. But yeah, I don't think they're a laughing stock because a lot of other countries are experiencing this. Uh, but I mean, if you're looking at the countries where they're coming from, they're probably laughing at us like, oh, wow, look at them taking everyone in. Look at Venezuela and all the South American uh, countries now sporting record low crime rates. Ah, another coincidence, right? Yeah. Correlation, correlation. All right.
They are incompetent and corrupt, having spent all of their waking hours unlawfully attacking their political opponent, me, rather than focusing on protecting Americans from the outside and inside violence.
I don't care too much for political banter, so I won't agree with him about it. He's talking about them, they're talking about him. I hate all that over.
Scum that has infiltrated all aspects of our government and our nation itself. Democrats should be ashamed of themselves for allowing this to happen to our country. The CIA must get involved now before it is too late. The U.S. is breaking down. A violent erosion of safety, national security, and democracy is taking place all across our nation. Only strength and powerful leadership will stop it. See you on January 20th. Make America great again. Now, let me address a couple of points that he said in this statement here. They have spent all of their waking hours unlawfully attacking their political opponent, me. It's not just Trump, of course. It's the parents at these school board meetings that the FBI labeled as domestic terrorists. What about that? Right? It's the raiding of Mar-a-Lago, right? It's the relentless prosecution of anybody or even people who were not present on January 6th. They have over 1,000 convictions. So they spent their resources on things that were prioritized because of political reasons, not because, hey, this is the United States of America and rule number one is we got to keep our citizens safe.
Well, lawmakers are telling me their biggest frustration after getting some more information today from the FBI is how did they miss this entire thing? They found out the FBI wasn't tracking this guy, that they didn't have really any.
Look, in high school, I registered Democrat, but I imagine most tests put me right down in the middle, maybe 51% Democrat, 49% Republican. I haven't really watched Fox News, and I used to pity the fool that would watch Fox News for any information. But as far as credible media, if CNN gets a 1 out of 100, Fox is gonna get a 10 out of 100. You know, it's a little bit better. It's a little bit better. But no, we the people are the media now. Check any social media. Well, not any. Check ones without censorship. And even X is getting a little interesting with Elon Musk trying to, or rumors of him cutting accounts off. So I'm observing to find out where we are with all of this. Because it's censorship now based on a political side and the things that we should be saying in that side? Or is it a global concept of censoring, cuss words for kids because they could be kids watching? Uh, but anytime censoring information, it's a toughie. It's a toughie. You can't really argue with or against it because one way or another, We are a very gossipy species. Very, very gossipy. And nowadays with internet, stuff flows fast. But when you can connect the dots, get some data and information, always look at sources. Always look at sources, as best as you can. Never trust a meme or a GIF or something that's basically just an image without any context. That's important. Especially if you see dots around a quote, it's probably taken out of context. So anyway.
Any intelligence on him until the attack happened. They also learned that he was inspired by ISIS, not necessarily directed by ISIS. So here is what we know about this man so far from the FBI. He claimed to have joined ISIS before this summer. He posted about 5 videos on Facebook supporting ISIS the night of the attack, and he had that ISIS flag on his truck. We all know that now. I'm told the FBI is questioning a Houston mosque, trying to learn some more information about him. But some lawmakers are pretty angry that the FBI knew nothing about him until it was too late.
Now, guys, this is not complicated whatsoever. Okay, the FBI probably had an idea about this, but you have to understand how many people have to say yes in order to truly investigate something. That's number one. That's my own speculation. Number two, the government knows everything. Okay, can we stop being naive?
Flying
All right?
orbs,
If they really wanna
drones,
find out about
everything.
you,
They know. They're
they
just not
can.
telling.
All right, so it's not like we don't have the ability to catch these things. I think when our agencies are so politically driven, the common sense decisions are what usually is thrown out the window. So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
how I feel about this.
Uh-huh.
It was a failure. We need to look at whether we had intel indicators. We need to look at how he was radicalized online.
The FBI was more interested in tracking down people that protested the election on January 6, 2021. They raided Mar-a-Lago, went after pro-life protesters, parents holding their school boards accountable. That's a misallocation of resources based on the leadership of this administration.
So the other thing that's been raising a lot of eyebrows here is this incident in Las Vegas. Some lawmakers have told me that they find it very hard to believe that these two are not connected. The Trump Tower explosion on the same day as that New Orleans attack. Senator Josh Hawley is now calling on the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, who you will talk to in a few moments here, calling on him to come to the Hill to testify, as well as FBI Director Christopher Wray. He says it needs to happen quickly, immediately.
Well, the
One thing I didn't like, and this is probably coming from Rick and Morty or some show somewhere. I don't like when news stations try to put up pretty people because pretty people, mm, attractive people. It's an influential take on people's perspectives. That girl was pretty, but like the incentive is like news, not Miss Fox News, not Miss Fox Universe or whatever. You know what I mean? Like every time there's a loaded cast of pretty people, I get suspicious. So that's just a general thing. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's just a little comment. It's probably Timmy Turner taught me something back in the day. Very Odd Parents. I don't know.
interesting part about all that is Secretary Mayorkas, the FBI Director Christopher Wray, and anybody of that matter, they're not going to have any answers for us, okay? And whatever answers they do give us are not going to make any sense. Now, if you guys want an example of that, they just interviewed Secretary Mayorkas on Fox News, and here's what he said.
But as far as what you
This
can
guy.
reveal to the American public you are doing, I mean, in case in point, in New Orleans, this particular terror.
You can tell a lot about physical communication. There's a whole set of books to tell you about how to read people's physical communication. I used to work at Apple, and they literally had a session for us on physical communication. And not only is like our voice 15-20% of a conversation, but the way we stand, the way our feet point, the way our arms are. And look at this guy's eyebrows. He's trying to be all cool with it. Not cool, not like I'm so cool, but like nothing's wrong. Like, yeah, I got all the info you need, girl. You ask me a question, I'm gonna give you that answer.
Was pledging his allegiance to ISIS on social media.
Like, there's no reason to keep your eyebrow up so high, bro. Put it down. Put that eyebrow down. Be normal.
We have yet to hear about how those videos were eventually taken down, whether that was through the social media network or the federal government. Perhaps you can give us more information on that. But why was this person out there pledging allegiance to ISIS and not known by the government?
Well, there was no public expressions of his allegiance to ISIS except shortly before the tragic events of yesterday. Let me be clear.
They literally just said there were Facebook posts of his praising. See, information, because officials can say things and we're supposed to believe them more than others. I think we're conditioned to just be saturated with information. And then we gotta trust these smug-looking guys because they're supposed to know everything happened.
We work very closely with state and local officers, enforcement officials, to identify individuals who are exhibiting signs of radicalization to violence. We work very closely with residents in communities. We have expressed since the tenure of Secretary Janet Napolitano in the first Obama-Biden administration, see something, say something. If somebody sees something of concern, they need to report it to officials.
Tenure is a concept in professional world where you've done something for 10 years, so that's enough time for you to be trustworthy. Like teacher tenure means that a teacher cannot get fired if a bunch of students complain after they get their tenure. That sounds like a loophole, right? Because you can be like, oh, I got my tenure, I can do whatever I want, or I can act whatever I want. It just changes a person when there's no accountability. So having a case for tenure being this official, oh, they're so experienced at their job that, they know what they're doing, versus the 10-year smug version of it, where it all depends on people, obviously. People are going to be different. Some people are going to take that as a badge of honor. Others are going to take that as an excuse to act differently. And then because you have tenure, they're going to trust you more than anyone else. That's it. That's it.
The responsibility of Homeland Security is a shared responsibility, and we're proud to partner with people across the country.
Yeah, see, the problem with Mayorkas is anything that he says has zero credibility because the results say otherwise.
Yeah.
You had 3, some people say 4 actual assassination attempts against President-elect Trump. Only 2 of them actually played out to something where the shooter actually had the rifle in his hand.
What's up with that, though? Yeah, why are we talking about that?
So you have that.
We have so much inside information, but 50% of the things that happened we didn't prepare for. Right? Does that make sense? Like, that's like a coin flip. At that point, 50% success rate, 2 out of 4 attempts that actually were almost there to kill him, or almost succeeded in killing him. That's a coin flip. That's not a prepared statement. In statistics, we have a 90% success, or at least an optimistic view of reducing. I mean, real life, you can't have success rates higher than 95% realistically, but we aim for at least 85%. A doctor working is going to aim for 95%, and even then 5% wrong. But come on, a coin flip, 2 out of 4, at least 3 out of 4 would have been all right, 75. All right, that's close enough. We don't have enough sample cases, but that's close enough. That's a coin flip. That's not preparedness. I don't trust it.
And then you have these 2 attacks, and then you have the drones. So what is the FBI doing? Right? I mean, is this just a coincidence? Just all of a sudden, all these things are happening within a 12-month cycle here? Is that what you want us to believe?
I mean, it's getting crazy.
One of the reasons
right?
why I feel the way that I do is
not like every year we go
the FBI has clearly showed that politics has infected common sense.
Yeah.
An example of that is this FBI agent who has a nose ring while she's giving this press conference, claimed that this was not a terrorist attack, what happened in New Orleans. Check it out.
Kirkpatrick said we'll be taking over the investigative lead for this event. This is not a terrorist event. What it is right now is their improvised explosive devices.
No, really. I thought every time we improvise explosives, that's literally a terrorist event. Why would you want to make? I mean, there was this guy that had like 15, 20 pipe bombs in his house. And the neighbor gave him out, and then they came in, and he was like, "Oh, I have no plans to using these pipe bombs." What? Why do you have them then? What are you gonna do with them, man? Are you gonna like? I don't even know what you can do with that without having ill intention. So how can you say improvised explosives have nothing to do with terrorism? What that's literally what they do. Literally what they do. I mean, suicide vests. The vests, man. The vests. Those vests have bombs on them. The I don't recall. There was probably many bombers that used SUVs full of bombs. Like this chick, I don't want to say DEI, but this chick does not take her job seriously. She got a nose ring on public TV. I'm a proponent of being you, doing you, but when you're on public TV talking to the rest of us, I mean, first you can't do it with face tattoos because you can't take that off, but you can take a nose ring off. You can prepare. You can be an actual professional representative. So, I don't know.
on confirming if it's a viable device or not.
Now, am I hearing things? Because I know what I heard, right? She said verbatim that this is not a terrorist event. So then what is it? You're the FBI. Why would you come out and say something like that? Just don't say
FBI.
anything at all. Don't even
FBI.
insinuate that, right? I mean, you just can't hate these guys enough, right? Because when we truly need transparency in a time where these events are starting to add up and become a pattern, we're not getting the transparency we really need.
For real.
But they don't want us to freak out either, though, right?
Oh.
Okay, got it. Now,
Yeah.
just so you guys know,
Just give us the spoon, give us the blue pill, just so we don't freak out or anything. Don't give us the red pill and tell us what the heck's going on, because maybe we can be a little bit more aware in our neighborhoods, right? We can do things and precautions. I mean, I'd say some y'all need to start thinking about getting a gun license. Something. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it's good protection for sure. And if you own a home, you should. But that's a consideration to start thinking about. Because if this is the pattern that we're going to continue on, and we don't have accurate representation of what's going on, the risk reward here, the risk is heavy. The risk is heavy. You can reduce that risk, but it's going to take a firearm.
that FBI agent was immediately humiliated because the mayor, right after her, said this.
And Mayor Latoya Cantrell will start with her remarks.
Thank you.
Okay, just give us just a little space, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Good morning. First of all, we do know that the city of New Orleans was impacted by a terrorist attack. It's all still under investigation.
Yes.
You'll hear more after me. However, I have been in direct contact with the White House, with Governor Landry, and of course a unified command who is present here.
So I wanted to compare the mayor and the FBI agent, because what I see here is the mayor has confidence. The FBI does not have confidence. They act like they don't even know what they're talking about. They deny everything. They're never transparent about anything that's actually, it makes sense for them to be transparent about. And so that leaves people with only one option, which is to come up with conspiracy theories about what happened, right? Because that's what they label them as. But if you don't give us any facts, if you're not transparent, what do you expect people to do? And it's exactly what's taking place right now between the Las Vegas bombing and this terrorist attack, right? There are people who believe they are connected. And of course, what does the FBI come out and say?
As you know, there's also an FBI investigation in Las Vegas.
As you know,
Following up on all potential
same
leads,
day.
not ruling everything out. However,
Couldn't have missed it on the news, could
at
you?
this point, there is no definitive link between the attack here in New Orleans and the one in Las Vegas.
So far, officials are not calling the explosion terrorism, but they have said they believe it was intentional.
Like, I'm just looking at the narrative again from the perspective of what just happened with Luigi. They rushed to call him a terrorist, even though his manifesto specifically said, I wish no harm on others, and I'm going to do this as a single target. Terrorism is an incorporation of society, a community, the public. Get as many as you can. What was that one sniper dude at the concert just plucking off people? That is terrorism. So how can you like play with the definition? This one guy targeting this one CEO versus this bomb in a Tesla that was basically aimed at blowing up as much as it can. The lobby, thank God Teslas have an actual chassis that's strong enough to withstand that. That's impressive, actually. That Tesla is impressive. Um, who builds a truck with the the thought about, hey, if something were to explode in the back of this truck, we should make sure every wall stays intact. Who thinks of that, right? Maybe they didn't think about that, but you know. So it's very odd to me to see an individual with a single intent on a rich CEO be labeled a terrorist, and a terrorism type act when this bomb, nah. It's just a pipe bomb, guys. Nah, it's fine. We've seen them plenty enough in, 2001. It's just all kinds of bombs. Anyone can make bombs. Doesn't mean they're terrorists anymore. Oh, but if they blow up in the CEO's house, oh, I bet you that would have been terrorists. hmm hmm But public, nah. Forget the peoples. Nah, they're not worth
All right. So you heard it from their mouth. They say that there is no direct link whatsoever between the New Orleans terrorist attack and what they are refusing to call a terrorist attack in Las Vegas. But okay, that's a whole nother debate, I guess. There's no link. Okay. Well, here is Sleepy Joe Biden saying the exact same thing.
Federal law enforcement and the intelligence community are actively investigating any foreign or domestic contacts and connections that could possibly be relevant to the attack. And so we're also continuing to investigate whether or not there's any connection between the New Orleans attack and the explosion in Las Vegas. As of now, they've just been briefed. They have not found any evidence of such a connection thus far.
Now, In Wokeness on X put this post together in a bottom line up front manner, right? Cybertruck bomber found with a gunshot wound to his head. Ford Bragg, like the New Orleans driver. Rented from Turo, like in New Orleans. Same day as the New Orleans attack. Green Beret military bomb expert, yet he used amateur explosives. Now, this screams like a conspiracy that is going on. And what I mean by that is 1 + 1 does not equal 2 in this situation, okay? But they want us to believe that it does, okay? They don't want to call it a terrorist attack. I wonder why. I just find that to be very interesting. How could a Green Beret wake up one morning and just do something like this? Okay. And here's what Charlie Kirk had to say. Everyone is acting alone except for the fact that the two suspects attacked on the same day, rented their cars from the same company, and served.
Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just really easy to rent a car. They don't be like, oh, are you gonna wear white today? Ah, yeah, I wanna wear some white. Hey, you wanna rent the same car, same place, or not the same car? No, we should do something different. All right, let's just say use this app, man. Okay, I wear white shirt, you wear a white shirt. We're both gonna get the app. We're gonna like, get that rental. I think that's a little stretchy, too stretchy. But I can kind of believe it if like it's really easy to get a rental with low verification, cheap. I mean, like what's the overall traffic of this app? You know what I mean?
on the same military base. Got it. And
That is a little weird. Same military base, radicalized two people. There's got to be some weird connection.
later in the comment section, an individual posted this. Gets weirder when you realize the second Trump attacker, Ruth, served at the same military base as these two and was similarly into
Okay. Okay, this was the sniping guy trying to hide behind the fence at Trump's resort or golf resort or whatever, and they were able to catch him before he could do anything. But okay, yeah, that is that I didn't think about. I didn't actually connect that. So these two guys and this one dude, three total, same base, and similarly into Ukraine mercenary recruitment. Hmm, that's an interesting one. There's a lot of propaganda can fit into this, but I'm not going to speak on propaganda.
Ukraine mercenary recruitment circles as the Vegas.
Sorry, conspiracy theories. There's a lot of conspiracy theories that can fit this together. But yeah, not this video.
Driver. But hold on, the Secretary of Homeland Security, he says otherwise.
As you know, you've suggested there's no evidence of linkage between Las Vegas and New Orleans, these two attacks. But there have been several very, very significant similarities that occurred during these two attacks, right?
Well, both individuals rented their respective vehicles from an app. Both individuals.
I have to comment on the lapse or the missing pieces of information that he's trying to not say. The same app or from a app. What did you say?
Occurred during these two attacks, right?
Well, both individuals rented their respective vehicles from an app.
From an app, which can mean two different apps, because there's a lot of apps in the App Store. Like, your assumptions start to lead. Oh, all right. They use the app. All right. They use the same app. But okay, let's call that a little farce.
Both individuals were U.S. citizens who have served in the military.
Good.
But
the same base though? Like, sure, you can serve in the military. Why wouldn't you say the same location in military? Like they were probably near each other enough to be socially capable of communicating. See, that's the thing. Missing information is suspicious. So if you don't get your information, your news sources from at least three sources, and they can be completely opposite sources. I normally try to go super left and then super right and then totally middle. And then you do the average of all of those three. Then you know enough sufficient information to make a conclusion. This is a representation of how information is opted out. They both served in the military. They both used an app. They didn't, or that's not lying, right? But that's not being completely truthful. They used the same app and they were at the same military base.
That doesn't necessarily draw a connection.
And that's how you make a narrative. That doesn't necessarily draw a connection. Sure, the way you represent it sounds like, I don't know, 5-10% connection. But they used the same app. They were on the same military base. And oh, there was a third guy that tried to kill Trump. Also from that base. I'm up at like, I don't know, 55, 60, 75% chance at this point. Like, the information is important. Lacking of information is trying to divert attention.
Between the two events, other than similarities of characteristics.
Are you 100% convinced that the individual in Las Vegas had no affiliation with a terrorist organization?
I don't think we know enough.
And then you plead ignorance because you can't lie on TV, but you sure can plead dumb and then say, oh, everything I just said, basically, I don't know. Yeah, I told you all this stuff, but I don't know. We don't got enough info for any assumptions. So, yeah, can't assume anything.
To draw any conclusion just yet. We're at a preliminary.
Which we shouldn't draw conclusions. Absolutely. But the reference point for his conclusion is an app, the military, and not the specifics that are actually that we know about, that we know for sure, right? So the intention there is a little bit off when you plead guilty or plead ignorant after stating things that are not full in detail.
So all these similarities that you mentioned, and there are other similarities
There are others as well.
purely coincidental?
Wolf, we're going to refrain from drawing assessments and conclusions until we learn more evidence. We owe that. That's a responsibility.
And this could take years, months, years, who knows how long. And in that time, other things can happen. So either they do know, but they're trying not to get us scared about it, or they actually don't know, which makes me kind of scared about what do they actually do. Like, if we know this kind of stuff and we can increase the chances of the percentage probability with the same base and the same app and the same day these two actors did what they did. Isn't that kind of a thing you could do with somebody? Hey, bud, let's make a pact. Hey, yeah. If something happens and we both don't like what's happening, you know what I mean, then let's do something on the first of it. Yeah. And then you never have to talk again. That's already been set. The pact is a pact. So there can be cases for this, but just the way he's framing what he knows with lack of information and then trying to go to the let's not be conclusive, it's purposefully fuzzy. It's fuzzy and cloudy and smoggy and
of a careful and thorough investigation, and quite frankly, a responsibility we owe the public not to be premature in our conclusions.
As I told you, no answers, right? Now, as I started this video off by saying, we start the year 2025 off with more questions than answers. But one thing we are certain about, that we definitely wish anybody who was physically impacted by these attacks a full recovery. That's number one. Secondly, we need Kash Patel nominated like yesterday. And if we find that there are GOP individuals who start coming out against him, we will call them out. Number three, I don't understand how they can ever say again that Joe Biden was a successful president, that he's one of the best, because this has
I don't know what he's done. I'm gonna cut the video here. I don't know what this man has done. But all I know, he's been vacationing through all of this, and he let a lot of people in that were not vetted correctly. And in the end, CNN has an agenda they gotta uphold. So if we find out that these immigrants were maybe 1% Islam, and they came up on here trying to radicalize our people, and under the economic stresses of our current situation of people suffering crappy health insurance, no money to feed their families, you can radicalize people real. So, yeah, the economy has not been good. Whatever the news wants to talk to you about, everything we're seeing is an emulation. Um, and an emulation that is basically done with margin and borrowed money and things that eventually will pop. That's just coming from a market perspective. And yeah, no, everything is enough. Anyway, I'm gonna stop it there. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Got a little bit of nuggets of information, nuggets of knowledge, and see you next time. Whatever prompts my interest, because I could not. I watched this halfway through, and I just heard them talking about how it's not an attack and all this. And I was like, no, I cannot. I need to say something. So there we go. Talk to you later. Enjoy the rest of your day, and stay sane. Stay sane. Stay healthy. And yeah, bye.